as I say that, we have been joined right here on the show now. Mike, I know it's been a while. Do you still remember how StreamYard works? Do you remember how, the whole media thing works? Do you need help with your microphone, or do you got it, man? Are you good?
Yeah, I don't have a microphone. Mike Uva hater like that. Yeah, I gotta remind myself that I'm on the other side of things, and corporate Mike might come out a little bit with some of these answers when you guys ask me questions too. But it's good to see you guys, just like the good old days.
Good to see you too, buddy. I like the coastal. Is that a
Sharp.
quarter zip you
Yeah,
have there,
no, this is
or
the
full zip?
full on. I do
Okay.
have some quarter zips. I was thinking about wearing it on Saturday, but it feels like we're gonna be, basically beach weather on Saturday, with it being like in the upper 80s, lower 70s. So might just go short sleeve shirt. I don't know what we're gonna go with quite yet, but I'm not gonna be like Colin Taylor and doing like what I'm wearing. But we'll see. We'll have something fun on Saturday.
Mike, what's the so this is a different setting too. You've gone from like the home studio. Now you've
I
got
know.
the office going on there. It's been a minute since you've had like the office away from home. How did you situate that? Like when did Brooke help you with this, or like what was
No,
the
she's basically just saying though, like, just get everything out of the house and like bring it to the office. I'm very fortunate that I got a very good size office, and the main reason why is because this used to be like an old weight room, and no windows. We got to earn our stripes, so we got to get a window one day. But yeah, I got to bring more stuff in here. But there's just like whiteboards all over the place. I brought a TV in here, still trying to get that to figure out. I can't get internet on it. So we're old school cable cording it, but yeah, got a lot of stuff in here. Brooke's excited just because, I mean, underneath my desk, I literally just have bins of just stuff, like old credentials and just pictures from the wall, like just a bunch of old stuff.
She might be excited that you're not at home all day too, man. You have to like
I
get
know,
out of the
right?
house.
No, exactly.
Please.
So, no, and she's been happy. I mean, we definitely enjoyed our time when we were up in Warren, Rhode Island, especially between, I'd say, spring and fall. It was her first true New England winter, and I think she's happy that she doesn't have to worry about shoveling and clearing off her car, even though like 95% of the time it was me taking the snow off because I'd be coming home around 1 a.m. after a sportscast. So it's been nice having somewhat of a normal schedule in the sense of, from like the beginning of the day to the end, but certainly very unorthodox hours, as we all know in the reporting world as well. So very similar.
Mike, I know you have to like maybe give us a little bit more coach speaky answers on some of this stuff now, but maybe you'll give us a little bit. What's been the difference, man? Honestly, for this Coastal team, the like second half of the year. I know Samari Collier, the quarterback who's banged up right now, doesn't maybe look good for him to play this weekend, but I know he was a big part of that. But otherwise, I mean, it seems like you guys' offense has just really taken off. The run game has taken off. What have you seen the last 4 or 5 games with this team just really improving a ton, it feels like?
Yeah, I think the big thing is it starts with the fact that 61 new players heading into this season. And when you have not just a new offensive coordinator, but a new defensive coordinator, it's going to take some time to be able to gel and mesh. And we talk about this all the time. And we talked about this when I was with you guys with Gamecock Central. And I think that's one of the challenges that every team in the country is dealing with right now, is that you have so many new faces come in. And unfortunately, you don't have the luxury of that preseason, right? That Shane Beamer's talked about in the past of wanting. So every team in the country has had to deal with that in some shape, way, or form. For Coastal, like I mentioned, when you have that many new players, combine that with the fact that you're learning a new offensive scheme, a new defensive scheme, it's going to take some time. And who would have thunk at the beginning of the year that Virginia would be where they are right now and having the type of season that they had, that they're having. ECU, very good team as well. So I think it just took some time for us to be able to get going, combined with the fact that you're going up against some pretty good teams on top of that. You don't have that luxury of being able to just go out there and say, all right, we'll figure it out, going up against teams that maybe are a little lesser than you, but against some good teams. So I think once they were able to figure out, Drew has done a phenomenal job, the offensive coordinator, of playing to the strengths of the team. Samari certainly did a lot of good things at quarterback once he had his opportunity. I want to say, we've gone through 3 different quarterbacks this season. The stats will show that we've had 5 players throw touchdown passes this season. So, yeah, I mean, it's been one of those situations where, you're just trying to get the team to gel and mesh. And there's been a lot of good things in terms of just playing off the strengths of what we have from a team standpoint.
Mike, we'll get back to the game here shortly, but I want to make sure that, while we're doing the whole reunion thing, people are excited to hear from you, but you're also working with another guy at Coastal who Gamecock fans know well, with, of course, Chance Miller, who was a deputy AD here for a while at South Carolina under Ray Tanner and is now the athletics director there at Coastal. How's that been, just having the opportunity to work with him every day? And what have you seen, kind of, as aside from like covering Chance and knowing him in that role as a reporter, to now working with him and kind of on the same team, basically? What have you seen?
I think the first 2 things that stand out, number one, I mean, there's not a more competitive person in the world than Chance. I mean, Chance wants to win every single day. As corny as that may sound, he wants to go out there and he wants to be able to win on the field, but he also wants to win as far as headlines go or anything else in between. Because when you go to one of these games, and Chance has talked about this ad nauseum in our meetings, you can only do so much as far as what takes place on a Saturday, or from a basketball standpoint, whenever a game's being played, baseball, right? Whatever the sport is, you don't fully have that control between the 18 and 22, 23-year-olds that are going out there and competing every day. You can only do so much, but what you can control the atmosphere and the experience that these fans are getting every time they go to a venue. So I think that's one of the other things that's very unique, is that Chance wants fans, when they walk away from a game, especially with our football games, he wants them to feel like they went to a rock concert and there was a football game that just happened to be played on top of it. So it's those little things that make working for him very exciting. And I think especially, and then you guys know this from your time of covering him when he was at South Carolina, he's a guy that is willing to do whatever it takes in terms of being able to push the envelope. Obviously, we've seen it this year, whether it be the free concessions, with which Gamecock fans should remember. That's something that he did at South Carolina during basketball a few years ago, and it worked. And we saw obviously a small sample size of it during December, and how difficult it is sometimes to be able to get fans to go, because the college kids, typically they're back at home. Depending on the matchups, you might not necessarily, if you don't have that Clemson matchup or that marquee big name school coming in, you might not necessarily be able to draw the same type of crowd. Chance did it there. He saw it work and he wanted to do it here from football. It's been a huge success, but I think what gets lost sometimes too is, yes, the free concessions. Yes, you're able to bring more people to the games and all that kind of stuff, which we've been able to, like, I think in terms of attendance, 4 of our top 10 attendance have come from this season. But on top of that, we have more people downloading our app, which is also very big as well, right? Because now, whether it comes to push notifications, wherever the case may be, there's more people that have our Coastal app now. So it's just being able to do little things like that. The Honeclair jerseys, that was a big hit. He's just, I'll tell you what, each day you come in here and you're just waiting, like, all right, what crazy idea do you have next? Like that's how it kind of feels like working with him.
Or what crazy old story is Chance gonna drum up for you from? I mean, the guy's lived a million lives. I feel like he's got some stories. If you ever have a chance,
you're not lying.
I mean,
I'll let him tell the story, because he's a heck of a storyteller. But I will just kind of throw this out there as like a teaser. Him sharing his story of how he played in an arena football game because they needed him while he was working in sales when he was in college. I mean, it's absolutely insane. That is definitely a story that if you ever cross paths with him, ask him about playing arena football and how he helped the team come back because all their QBs were hurt and they needed someone to go in there. And Chance, a couple of years removed to playing high school football, goes in there, and it's unbelievable. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Not shocked at all. I know Chance was just on here on the radio on 107.5, Mike. So I don't want you to feel like you have to speak for Chance, but what do you think? Like, what is this weekend going to be like for you and for him? Just, I mean, from Chance's seat, like, he was highly involved in the process of hiring Shane Beamer. Like, that's well known. And now he's the AD at Coastal coming in to, a game where a few years ago he would have been firmly on the Garnet and Black side of this game, and now he's coming in as a guest. I know for you it's going to be different. We've talked about that, but I got to imagine for Chance, as long as he's been in the administrator game, it's going to be a weird feeling rolling into Willie B on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't want to fully speak for him. I mean, obviously, we've had conversations about it. I think he said it on the radio that it certainly is a weird feeling. You mentioned, obviously, his involvement with being able to bring Shane Beamer to South Carolina. But on top of that, too, I mean, he's the guy that signed the contract to be able to play this game 5 years ago. I mean, some people might not remember that, but because of that 2020 season, it switches on over to a 10-game conference schedule for the SEC. Coastal Carolina and South Carolina, they were scheduled to play that year. That didn't happen, right? But instead of that game being dropped altogether, Matt Hogue, who was the athletic director at the time at Coastal Carolina, they had conversations, and Chance, ironically, was the person whose signature is on that contract, but not for Coastal Carolina. It's under the South Carolina section. So I think he was actually talking about it when he was on 107.5 a little while ago, is that he never thought that he'd be in the position that he's in right now, getting ready to see South Carolina and Coastal Carolina play, and he's on the opposite side of it. So, look, obviously, I think for Chance and, what this weekend will be like, it's South Carolina. It's a special place for him. I don't want to, again, put words in his mouth. For me, obviously, it's unique. It's been weird. You go to practice and some of the coaches, will make jokes kind of like, do we have to be careful with you this week, out there? And obviously, again, as much as I appreciate my time at South Carolina, I appreciate Shane and all those coaches and what they've done for me and my family. At the end of the day, I'm pulling for Coastal, right? I mean, that's the place that I'm working at user push or whatever, who's the dork wearing the Coastal attire? That would be me, sir. But no, it's one of those things where, you try to have fun with it on social media. Obviously, my position's a little bit different in comparison to where it was before, with being able to interact the way that I once did on social media. So we're trying to, take a step back a little bit, but at the same time too, it's all fun. It's all love. Obviously I'm not gonna, say anything that would upset a fan base, because we also aren't dumb. There's a good sized portion of Gamecock fans who have ties to Coastal Carolina, right? So, that's been the neat part. That's been the neat part, is just seeing some of that crossover, or when I got the job, just seeing so many people that have Gamecock ties share with me, like, hey, like my dad went to Coastal, or I grew up a Coastal fan. Luke Doty's younger brother, he goes to Coastal. So, I mean, hearing from the Doty family when I got the job, that was pretty special as well.
Mike, let's shift back to the football field and the game for this weekend. And we spent some time talking about Coastal winning 4 out of the last 5. We've spent time talking about their offense. Tell us defensively, like, just what to expect from Coastal in terms of, obviously they played some really quality competition, like you've said. Are there some guys that maybe Gamecock fans, if they're watching the game, obviously they're rooting for Carolina, but if there's guys out there that are just football junkies that, hey, who do we need to watch, that might stick out? Tell us a little bit about some of those guys, maybe on defense, and then stylistically, maybe kind of what to expect from Coastal.
Yeah, I know it's real easy to look at this past game against Georgia Southern. I mean, it goes without saying, you could talk with any of our players and our coaches. No one was happy with the result and what took place on the field the other night against Georgia Southern. But this is a defense that, as the season has gone on, they've been very, very good in terms of being able to force takeaways. They're one of the best when it comes to forcing fumbles, and they've been able to do that, it feels like, ad nauseum over the last couple of weeks. So that's something. And when they happen, it feels like they just continue to happen over and over and over. I mean, Marshall, I remember there was a span of, I think, 6 plays, and there were 3 takeaways in a span of 6 plays. Like, you just don't see that kind of stuff, right? They have been able to bring in some guys from the transfer portal who've done a phenomenal job. And it's not just guys that have come from Power 4 schools. We have guys that have come up from Division II, like Zeke Campbell, who's one of our defensive ends, and he's done a phenomenal job this season. He's someone that can put pressure on the quarterback. He's someone that's fun to watch. We have guys all over the field in terms of size, which, I think that's one of the unique things when you look at Coastal, or you look at some of these group of 5 schools, you don't typically see some of the size like we have cornerbacks that are like 6'3" for crying out loud. Like you just don't see that. It feels like at the group of 5 level, and guys that aren't just big but can run too. So I think look, we have a lot. I feel like a coach now. You talk about the coach speech. Like I just don't want to like point out players individually and just recognize them because it feels like if I don't bring up someone else's name, I'm going to get someone upset with me. And that's the unique thing too. You get to develop some of these relationships with these players, and you get to see them kind of grow. And they get hurt or they get banged up. You feel for them, or they have a bad game, or they feel like they didn't perform the way that they feel like they should have. Like the other night, there was a lot of faces on that bus ride coming back, which, you feel for those kids. But I can tell you that going into this week, certainly the opportunity to play South Carolina, for a lot of these players, it's going to be the most fans that they've ever played in front of. Obviously, again, we played Virginia earlier this season, but we know how much people that stadium holds, right? Just under 78,000 at Williams-Brice. They're excited for the opportunity.
Mike, I'll put you in a position to talk about pretty much everybody at one position group because your running back trio you have there. What can you tell us about all three of these guys? Because you have you're gonna have to pronounce. I don't want to screw up Simpkins' first name, so I'll leave that to you. But Dominic Nicely and then Javon Edwards, 3 running backs that have over 300 yards each. 2 of them are averaging over 6 yards a carry. I know we talked earlier about what Samari Collier has meant at the quarterback position, kind of sparking the run game. But what can you tell us about these 3 backs, man? Obviously, these guys run hard and can do some different things for you in the ground game.
The Simpkins name's not as hard as you think. You got it. How do you think you say it? Javen.
Javen. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Javen.
Yeah, it's not that tough. Now, if you want to say like our field goal kicker's last name, I mean, there's a lot of names on that list. I mean, it's certainly one of those things every time. And I'm sure when I talk to Todd Ellis before the game and, we give him the pronunciation guide, it'll be interesting to see if he loses interest after a couple minutes, because just trying to keep him focused and be like, hey, Todd, look, there's a lot of names, man. Just bear with me here. I'm just kidding, Todd. I miss you, buddy. But no, I think the unique thing about our running back room is, there's young talent, like a guy like Dominic Nicely and what he's been able to do as a true freshman. And then you also see, obviously, Samari was doing a phenomenal job in the role that he was in. And, it's a shame that he's banged up right now, but and I know he wants to play on Saturday. But, that running back room as a whole has done a very nice job. Again, playing off of the strengths, of course, starts with our offensive coordinator and what Drew has done in terms of bringing in, being a disciple, as people would say, of the Mike Leach offense in the air raid, and being able to make some adjustments over the first couple weeks of the season. And again, it goes back to what I mentioned, right? You have new offensive coordinator, so many new pieces on offense, and you're trying to figure out, okay, hey, look, we're trying to do this, but maybe we're going to have to make some tweaks to it. And that's exactly what Drew and Coach Tim Beck, they've done a phenomenal job of being able to do. I think the thing with our running backs, which, really stands out to me more than anything, is that, you look at them and they're not going to necessarily be the biggest guys, but they are shifty. They can make one cut and they're off. If they have an opportunity to find a hole, they're going to hit it. And, it's been really fun to be able to see their growth this season. You look at just from a stat standpoint, I know Samari leads the team in rushing touchdowns, but what Simpkins has done, what Nicely has done, even what Javon Edwards has done for us. We have some talented running backs back there. And it feels like each week, and we could talk about the wide receivers too, this goes with them as well. It kind of changes from week to week in terms of what the game plan is around who. So, I mean, this week, who knows? Who knows what the game plan will be? Maybe it'll feature more of, of one of our running backs, but I wouldn't be surprised to see things just, I'm not just saying this from a coach speak standpoint, it truly has changed week to week. And I think that's one of the tougher things about game planning for us, is that you truly don't know what we're going to do from an offensive standpoint.
What would you say the game plan would be this week, Mike?
Score points, protect the football, be disciplined.
Yeah. All right. Now, my next question, Mike, by the way, is going to be keys to the game. So you'll have to I'm going to put you got to detail a little bit more than that. You got to give us a little more than that coach speak. By the way, speaking of great names, and I need a pronunciation on this too. Kevin Miller, who just dropped a comment in the chat on our staff at Gamecock Central. Great name for an offensive tackle. Nick Del Grande or Grande?
Grande.
Grande. Nick Del Grande. Great name.
Phenomenal.
Also a really good player. Mike, did you know, as the SID there at Coastal, that Nick Del Grande is the highest rated Coastal Carolina player on College Football 26?
I did not know that. I know that going. So I'm going to be honest, and this is where I feel like I'm getting old because I loved playing NCAA. I have not played the new game. I have not played even last year's version, and a lot of that has to do with the fact of some jamoke stealing my PlayStation 3 when I was in college. I don't even know if they make it for PS3 anymore, but that happened many, many years ago, and just never went out and rebought a new one. So have not been able to play. Yeah. I don't even know. Did they even make it for PS3? Or is PS3 too old now?
That's way too old.
Wow.
Too old. Yeah, that's a legacy. That's a legacy system now. But yeah, Nick Del Grande, 86 rating. Pretty darn good. Yeah, that's up there. That's up there. So, all right, Mike, but seriously, you gave us the very generic coach speak keys. Let's go. As you said,
I'm doing my best. Look, because I know that there's someone definitely over in the football building right now, and they're just like, I swear to God, Mike, if you say something,
if you say anything, yeah. No, but I mean, I don't think this will get you in trouble.
No, I'm teasing.
But like, if you had to say from, I'm sure you still paid attention to South Carolina's program this season. Obviously, you paid very close attention to Coastal. Beyond the typical run the football, what are a few keys that you think, hey, if we can accomplish these things on Saturday, like we're going to have a chance in the fourth quarter to go, pull this upset? What are you looking at?
Yeah, right. If I have to do, it is Thursday. So, if I was working for Gamecock Central, I'd be doing my keys to the game for Coastal. So let's flip it here, right? I think first and foremost, it goes without saying, and this is something that, look, maybe he hasn't had the type of year that he was hoping to have, but you can't sleep on Lenora Sellers. And I think that's where it all starts, right? We know that guy is capable of changing the game at any given time, whether it be running the football, whether it be throwing the football. So I think more than anything, just trying to do the best they can. Ironically, and God bless him, he's a Dutch Fork product. And I think actually I covered him back in the day, John Hunt. He has been our Lenora Sellers this week in practice, I think. And I can share that because I think Beck said that during a press conference. So it's not like I'm putting anything out there that hasn't been already said publicly, just to make sure we're all on the same page here in case someone's watching this. So, he joked around about John. It's like, well, John's not exactly the same type of, body type as Lenoris in terms of, the size and everything, but he's been doing a great job of just trying to get us a look. I think the other thing too, more than anything, if they want to win this game or be able to put themselves in a situation where anything can happen come the fourth quarter, they can't shoot themselves in the foot. This is a team that last week, over a dozen penalties for Coastal, which was very uncharacteristic, because the 4 previous games, I think in that span, there was like maybe 10 penalties combined. So to have the number of penalties they had last week and to still be in the game, it goes without saying, but shoot, you can't do that. And they were certainly still in that game. Goodness, now I'm really getting creative here. Let's see. I think
this is not like, Mike, you don't have, sorry to interrupt. You don't have to, like, how when we write things, like, all right, I got to come up with 3 keys, or I got to come up with 5 of these because I'm like, you don't have to hold yourself to a number if it's
no, I'm not there. I'm just trying to be careful because again, corporate Mike and reporter Mike, our worlds are colliding right now.
Please do be careful.
I think being able to score early, because to your point, being on the other side of it. Look, we're both coming off tough losses. South Carolina's coming off a tough loss. Coastal is coming off a tough loss. It's not an easy place, as we all know, to play at, regardless if the game is at 4:15 or 8:15, wherever the case may be, right? Doesn't matter. Need to be able to get in there and I think find a way to try to take the fans out of the game the best you can. which is not easy. It is not easy. A very difficult place to play at. So, but I think being able to go in there, Wes, I am doing everything I can to be very careful. I am not going to be bulletin board material, and SID
Mike
is not
says
being
Coastal's going to plan to score early.
No, I think you got to do it. In all seriousness, I think being able to go out there and score early, because it's the exact thing that if I was on the other side of it, the last thing I would want to see if I'm South Carolina is see the opposing team come out and score early, especially after how difficult last week's second half was. So I think if you're Coastal, you're trying to go out there, you're trying to gain some momentum, you're trying to feel good about yourself. A decade ago, that was something that the Citadel did. So I mean, like, look, I mean, that's if you wanna come in as heavy underdogs, that's what you need to do. You got to find a way to be able to score early against a team from a talent standpoint. Yeah, they're bigger than you, they're faster than you, they're more talented than you. You got to do whatever you can to be able to make yourself feel good and put them in a situation that hopefully has them not feeling that great about themselves.
Mike, great answer, man. Great appearance. You can wipe the sweat off your brow. But I've got to do that thing where you save the hardest question for last.
Oh, beautiful.
I know you know about that, Mike. You just kind of butter them up for the entire time, and at the very end, if you got something you really need to ask, what do you say, Mike, to people like Gamecocks Tomorrow on Twitter? Say, why would he do this to us? Gamecock football before Uva left, 2-0. After Uva left, 1-7. What do you say to people like Michael Cobbs who say, I'd like to have a word with Benedict Arnold? He should get that reference being from Yankee land. And what do you say to people like Gamecock Pork Chop, a.k.a. Pork Chop by 90, who say, Wes, please let him know this season is completely his fault. Thanks, man. What do you say to those people, Mike?
Corporate Mike would respond by saying that, we know that there's a lot of Coastal Carolina fans who have ties to South Carolina, and the last thing that we would ever do would be disrespecting another in-state team, whether it be South Carolina, whether it be Clemson, whether it be SC State, whether it be Benedict, whether it be Newberry, whatever the case may be. We always want to see the other in-state schools do well, because we know that there's so many people who are generous and make plenty of donations to Coastal Carolina athletics each year. And, this Saturday, two great teams are going to be battling out there on the field. And we're looking forward to the opportunity to play on national television on the SEC network, and having a chance to play in a very historic and a very special stadium named Williams-Brice, which we also have a building on campus named after the same family. So we're looking forward to it, and that's what I would tell those individuals.
Man,
Sure.
corporate transformation complete. That was an A+ corporate answer. I love it.
Mike, in all seriousness, man, appreciate the time. We love you, buddy. Enjoy the game Saturday. I know it'll be weird, and I'll call you on Sunday and get your reaction, okay?
No, I appreciate it. I've gone up and back and forth if I was going to wear black or teal, so we'll see. We'll see what we come off the bus with.
Is it okay if I give fans permission to throw tomatoes at you if they see you on the sideline?
Tell them throw a battery or two. I mean, we could use some extra money for rev share. We'll always take it. I mean, I'm a team player. If I got to take a hit in the head to be able, whatever we need to.
True,
and that is not
player.
me giving permission to people to throw something at me, because just in case from a legal standpoint, because I know that we have some tremendous lawyers that are also sponsors with Gamecock Central, so I want to make sure that I'm not putting ourselves in a position where it's like, oh, here you go. Mike said this at this mark. No.
Disclaimer, that was a joke.
Yep.
Mike, we appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon, okay, buddy?
Appreciate you, fellas.
Thanks, Mike. See you.
All right, man.